Morning, everybody. I wanted to talk real quickly this morning about answering the SAQ. The SAQ, or the short answer question, is, I think traditionally it's one of the easier parts of the test. There's a couple of different questions that you're going to face. And the first one that I want to focus in on today, and we'll do some other video series on the other two types, is the type in which you are interpreting a primary source. So let's get right down to it, and let's take a look at the primary source. So what I would like you to do, if possible, get my head out of the way here, is to take a moment and maybe hit pause right now and take a look at this source. This source is called the Codex Mendoza, and it is kind of a remarkable piece. And now, once you've hit pause and have had a moment to look at the picture, I'm going to ask you to hit pause again. And this time, we're going to look at the source information. So go ahead and hit pause on that and see what you notice in reference to the source. So now that you've had an opportunity to do that, let's take a look at the questions. Question number one asks you to analyze and explain two historical claims about the Aztec state that can be supported based on the image. This is more of, okay, can I apply historical information that I know back to that source? That's not that much different of a skill than we see all the time with source stimulus questions. This time we're just going to write about it. And then the second, identify one limitation of the image as a source of information about the Aztec state. That's a sourcing question, looking at point of view and a lot of the things that we often look at. So let's take a look at what some good answers might be. First of all, as it relates to part A, as you saw in the video, the Aztec world was pretty fierce in controlling the region of central Mexico. And as part of the ferocity of that and the hegemony that they established, they were very quick to control the regions around central Mexico by gathering tribute, or extracting tribute might be a better way to look at it. The rare and valuable goods that are in the codex, gems and jaguar pelts, etc., also represent the fact that the Aztec world was based on a pretty strict social hierarchy. And at the very top of that hierarchy, you had people of fabulous wealth who could afford such luxury items. The Aztec world is not unlike any other world that didn't have an unlimited supply of gems and jaguar pelts. So those things would clearly represent luxury items and not staple items. If they had had a basket of corn, for example, as like the centerpiece of the codex, you wouldn't say, oh, well, that must be for the upper class. They had corn. I mean, corn was something that was available to everybody. Gems, were not. So that's part two of that first section. Part B of the question looks at limitations. First of all, as you saw in the source information, it was produced by the Spanish, so they wanted their own perspective told within this codex. So that's an interesting piece of it. They're going to want to put their own spin on it. And in addition, it was created about 2 centuries after the conquest of the Aztec world by the Spanish. So that also represents a significant piece of that. So how long should a good response be? And the College Board is pretty clear on this. 2 to 3 sentences is good. So here's an example that I wrote based on the information that we had on the previous slides. Again, this is just a 4-sentence piece. I kind of had, there's 2 parts to question A. They're asking you for two representations of the Aztec state, 2 sentences each. So here's 4 sentences. This would gain both points of credit. And then the second piece, a little bit longer because quite honestly, I felt a little bit more comfortable answering this part of the question because I really like sourcing. So you might have preferred the other part. So they asked for 1. I wrote about 2, just in case I didn't get one correct the first time. So I added a second piece to that as well. Okay. So this is just a little bit of background information on the SAQ, and we're going to practice a different type 1 week from today. We're going to introduce all 3 types here during Unit 4 with kind of a focus that part of your assessment this unit will be an SAQ. Let me know if you have any questions.